Alright, so this lesson is going to be a little bit shorter, but we are going to be talking about speed problems. So let's get started with this math counts lesson. So let's talk about the main formula you're going to need to know. This is speed multiplied by time is equal to your distance. Right? Speed times time is equal to the distance, right? And we can manipulate this equation to solve for time, speed, and obviously right now we're solving for distance. And this is useful in problems where we're asked to find the speed given the time and the distance, or the ratio, etc. If we're given the time, or if we're asked to find the time, and of course if we're asked to find the distance, we just plug our values in and we're done with the problem. Oftentimes, you're going to be using this formula to solve multiple problems in which you're going to have to use algebra, manipulate the equation around until you get to your answer. And we're going to solve for time, and you only need to remember one of these. You can just manipulate the equation each time. And of course, speed is equal to distance divided by time. Now you gotta know something else. You have to know what average speed is. Now in math, when someone asks you to find the average of something, you've probably heard of something called arithmetic mean, but this is not arithmetic mean. This is not geometric mean either. This is average speed. Now when we're taking average speed, we have a formula for this. Average speed is just the distance over the time elapsed. The ratio of the distance to the time elapsed. Now it's actually the same formula as the formula for speed, distance divided by time. So average speed, when a problem tells you the average speed or asks you to compute the average, find out what the average speed is, you have your formula, distance over the time elapsed. It's not arithmetic mean, it's not geometric mean, it's the distance over the time elapsed. So now that we know what average speed is, we know our formulas, this is all you need to know for speed problems. The rest is just applying proportion. We've talked about inverse and direct proportion. All you need to know is proportion and all the stuff we just talked about, the formulas. So let's get into our problem. Taken from MATHCOUNTS School Sprint problem. Well, it's taken from the MATHCOUNTS School Sprint round. At an average of 530 miles per hour, how many hours will it take a plane to travel 1,325 miles? Express your answer as a decimal to the nearest tenth. So we already have our average speed. Our average speed is 530 miles per hour. Now we're asked how many hours will it take a plane to travel 1,325 miles? Now, how many hours will it take a plane? We're looking for the time. Now, we know that speed times time is equal to the distance. Solving for t, we get t is equal to the distance divided by the speed. So we have our formula. We're looking for the time. We have the distance, which is 1,325 miles, over the speed. Now, once we compute this, we'll have our answer. Now, let's just divide. here the problem, in this problem, I think, in my opinion, it's better just to divide it out rather guess and check. Guess and check also works for this problem, but I think it's more efficient to just divide it out. So 530 divided by 1,325. Now all we need to do is plug in our values. This goes in 500 times 2 is 1,000, so 500 times 3 is 1,500. This should be 2. And then we should have a 0 over here, and we should have a decimal over here. Now all we need to compute is 530 multiplied by 2, and then we just subtract it off. So we get 530. So we know that 500 multiplied by 2 is just 1,000. So we have 30 here, which is 1,060. Now we have 5. This is going to be 5. Over here we have 12. We have a 6 over here. We have a 2 over here. And now we have a 0 over here. Now we need to divide 2,650 by 530. Notice how 500 times 5 is 2,500. Now this seems pretty close, but all we need to do is check the division. And if we multiply this, I'm going to multiply right now. 530 multiplied by is 2,650. Henceforth, our answer is 2.5 hours. Now, the guess and check technique would work like this. We know every hour we travel 530 miles per hour. We know that 500 times 3 is 1,500, so we have to do 530 times 2. Computing this, we have 0, 6, and 10. Now we just subtract off 1,325 minus 10,060. We see we have 6. Now we see that 265, take a look at 265. How is 265 related to 530? That's what we're going to check in the guess and check. So we just do 265. And we see that if we multiply by 2, let's test what happens. 5 times 2 is 10. 6 times 2 is 12. 13. 530. And this is half of 530, which means we have a 2 over here. We slap on half, we get 2.5. Decimal, nearest tenth, that's our answer. So, competition-wise, I recommend you use the guess and check. But if you're just looking at the problem and you're not really in the competition, I would recommend the division. However, yes, you are right if you thought, why isn't he using this method? Because this method is better. But the reason I am also saying use this method is because of the values change and things get higher. You can't sit all day long and guess and check your way out. Of course, this method is way faster, but that's only because the odds, like we have 265 is the difference. So that's the only reason why we could use guess and check in this case, but otherwise go for the division. The main part here is applying your formulas, identifying what you need to compute. We want the time, how many hours, whenever you're given like hours, minutes, something, you want the time. And whenever you're given like X miles per hour, minute, something like that, you're talking with the speed. And notice how average speed and speed are essentially the same thing. The formulas are the same. So this is basically just speed. And yeah. So those are this type of speed problems you will find in math counts. Hopefully this video was helpful, and yeah.